So here's the number that might surprise you. The median homeowner in America has a net worth of nearly $396,000, and the median renter is only $10,400. That is nearly 38 times the difference. Now, is homeownership the only reason for the gap? No, but it's a very big part of the story. Today, Melanie and I are going to talk about why, and more importantly, about what that means for you right here in Kitsap County. I'm Niki Shelton, your local Kitsap County real estate broker, and we are keeping it real. And I have Melanie Rowe from All Western Mortgage with me today for a real honest conversation about renting versus buying. And this is the real information that you're going to need to make the right decisions for your situation. First of all, welcome back, Melanie. How are you?
Thanks. I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
I feel like this is deja vu. Okay. So what do you think? Do you think buying or do you think renting is best?
Well, I'm an advocate for homeownership. And I think if you can buy, most of the time that makes the most sense. There are certain circumstances when it may not make sense to be a home buyer, but on the whole, I think if you can, that's the way to go.
Right. And there's might be times you don't want to buy for a certain reason. So it totally makes sense. Okay. So Melanie, from a lender's perspective, what does a mortgage payment actually do that rent does not?
Well, every time you make that mortgage payment and you reduce how much you owe on the house, you're building equity in it. And equity is kind of a hard concept to understand if you haven't ever experienced it. But you reduce how much you owe every time you make a payment. And in all likelihood, the value of your home is probably increasing. And the difference between what you owe and what your home is worth is the equity. And you can't build equity when you're paying rent.
And especially that appreciation, that works out so nicely.
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me about how appreciation works in a buyer's favor?
Well, right. Again, that equity that I was just talking about is potentially you can borrow against that equity. You could use it for things like paying for your kids to go to college, which sometimes it can be more affordable than student loans. It's really hard to save the cost of college tuition, with college being $40,000 to $70,000 a year. But if you can use your home to pay for that college education, that's one thing that you would never be able to do as a renter.
Right. So if you had like a $500,000 home and it appreciated like 3%, like what we're saying, right? Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6. It just kind of, those are kind of the averages. You would have a gain of like $15,000 a year.
Right.
So, I mean, what she's saying is like, yeah, you could technically be adding that to your equity, and saving it there. And so if you started when your kids were young and by the time they got to college, that would be a pretty big number to use to help your kids out if you wanted to.
Right. Right.
Okay. So what about payment stability? How does a fixed mortgage compare to renting long-term?
Well, a fixed mortgage, the payment can never change. That's what fixed means. The amount that you are paying to reduce the borrowed funds can never change. Now, your total overall housing expense may change if your property taxes and homeowners insurance premiums increase, which, let's face it, they will, because they never go down.
Especially here in Washington.
Right. But the payment itself can never change. If you are renting, your payment can change. Your landlord can change the payment. And, in all likelihood, every time your lease renews, they will.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And, think about it this way too. And it's not they're trying to necessarily be greedy. I know that everybody says that, right?
Right.
But, if you think about it, if you own like a second home and you're using that as a rental and your property taxes go up by $1,000, guess what? You're probably going to add that onto your renters to have them pay for the property taxes.
That's right. As the renter, you are paying your landlord's mortgage. That's what you're doing.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I like to talk about solutions. So what about some solutions that buyers might not know about? I know we've talked in previous, and definitely watch the series and go back and check out some of the stuff that Melanie and I've done. But, we've talked about the different types of loans. And some people are really surprised. Some people think it's going to be like, 20% and
right.
And it's not.
No, you don't ever have to put 20% down to buy a primary residence. There are a lot of low down payment assistance, very wide variety of financing options to help people get into homes.
Yep, absolutely. And again, we've talked about a lot of those, so go back and check them out. So usually, it says it's about 5 to 7 years is kind of when you get caught up, kind of, I don't know if caught up is the word to use it, but you have to pay your interest back, and they usually have a bigger amount for paying your interest back initially, and then it kind of slows down, and then you start putting more and more towards your principal.
Right.
So it usually takes about 5 to 7 years for that to happen. And so, if you're not going to be like, if your job is like kind of like you're all over the place, you're moving place to place. I mean, military, I'm assuming it's really hard. I mean, if you can commit to 5 to 7 years, it works great.
Right.
But sometimes if you have a 2-year deployment, or to a different area, it's not always the best option. Or if your job's uncertain and you might have to go somewhere else to get a job, or, you might have to move to take care of aging parents, or, I mean, there's so many reasons, or you just don't have enough to maintain your home, because that's also a big part.
It is. I mean, those are all situations where it may make more sense to rent.
Right.
Especially if you're not going to be in the area for a very long time. Definitely,
if you're in those situations, it doesn't make sense to buy. So that's totally fine. And, and some people say that, when you pay rent, you're throwing money away. And you know what? Actually, I mean, it does provide housing. So you're not really throwing it away. What you're really not doing, though, is you're not building up the flexibility to build up the equity in your I don't even know, in your mortgage, right? You're building it up. I'm trying to get common words here today too, but you're building that equity up, and that can really help you long term. I mean, your net worth was the word I was trying to find, but building up that net worth and stuff like that, you're not building that as you rent versus as you buy.
Well, right. And just at the beginning, talking about the difference in net worth between a homeowner and a renter, a lot of that is the equity in the home. And the other thing that you can do with that equity is the very first home that you buy may not be your dream home. It may not be your forever home. But if you live there for a few years and build up equity, when you sell it, then you have more money for a down payment to maybe buy your dream home. I mean, there's no way to save $300,000, just put it in the bank, but you can definitely build $300,000 in equity when you own real estate, and use that maybe towards the purchase of your dream home later.
Yeah. Or, leave it to legacy to your kids or something, and let them be able to do something.
Right.
Okay. So what happens if we have viewers right now who are sitting on the fence, and, you're kind of like, that could be me. I mean, I just never thought about it. What should they do today?
Well, call me.
Yes.
So we can talk about your options. But I mean, so really something to think about is you can never change how much you paid for a home. And you can change the interest rate if interest rates improve and you refinance. But what I mean by that is if you buy a house today for $500,000 and interest rates are higher than people would like them to be, but if you buy it now, in the future, if rates drop enough for it to make sense for you to refinance, you still paid $500,000 for that home. But what is going to happen when interest rates come down is it opens up a whole lot more people to either have the confidence or the ability to buy. And when that happens, values will go up. A lot of people are hesitating because of interest rates, but you have to understand that home that's $500,000 now could be $575,000 in the future when rates come down and more buyers enter the buyer pool. So it'll always be $500,000 that you paid for the house.
Right. And it's supply and demand. And, and if you talk to people who've purchased homes 10 years ago, sometimes their house is almost doubled.
Yes.
I mean, in value, because it's went up that much. And, I've talked to my kids, and I've always, they'll come. I mean, my kids are getting older. They're starting to, be late 20s and early 30s now. And, they'll come up to me and they'll hey, I'm kind of thinking about this. What should I do? Should we go start looking? I'm like, absolutely not. You should go talk to Melanie, because I trust Melanie. Because Melanie, you've been here for how many years?
29
years.
Yep.
Okay. So she's been in the field for a long time, and I trust her. And it's so I send my kids to her, and, but having them, but having that information and stuff like that, that really helps you, move forward?
You have to start with the numbers. I mean, a lot of people want to start by looking at houses, but
Don't do that.
no,
Don't do that.
you have to start with the numbers. You have to know what you can afford. You have to really understand how much the payment and the housing expense is going to be. Nikki said something about, being able to afford to take care of a home. I mean, when you're a homeowner, if your water heater stops working, there's no landlord to call. So you've got to be able to have enough reserves to be able to maintain the home and repair if things break too.
Yep.
So the first conversation, really, it doesn't even have to require any documentation or a credit check or anything. We can just have a conversation about what your income looks like, what your savings and your job history look like, what a potential payment would look like, to see if it makes sense, if this might be a good time for you.
Absolutely. So that's the most important thing, you guys. If you're watching this, and like I said, you're renting right now, or you're not sure, you're maybe whatever. I mean, whatever your situation is, reach out. The bottom, I mean, because I'll hook you up with Melanie, but she can talk to you through that. And that's one of the things you like to do, though.
I do the numbers.
I don't like to do numbers. That's why I give her my kids to Melanie. I said to go talk to Melanie. But it's really important to get those numbers so you at least know. And it might be not this year, it might be next year, it might be 2 years.
If you're thinking about it in the foreseeable future, even the next couple of years, a conversation now can just put you on the path for what you need to do to be able to qualify.
So let's say that you are a couple and you've been in a relationship for a while, and you're seeing your future together increase, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're renting, and that's cool. I mean, because you're not sure exactly where things are going or whatever. That is a great time. I'm sorry, you guys. That is a great time. I mean, even if you're not, you're not going to propose, or you're not going to, make it official or whatever in a couple of years, it's a great time to talk and at least get to know your numbers and what they look like. And yeah, they're going to change a little bit, but at least if you're not there, you know what you need to do.
Right. To make a plan.
You have a plan. That's the best word. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. So here's the bottom line that I want you to take away from today. Buying is not always better than renting, but if you are in Kitsap and plan to stay for several years and you have not had a real conversation about what buying would actually look like for you, then maybe you're sitting on a wealth building opportunity without knowing it. The data is clear. Homeowners build significantly more wealth over time, and that gap starts the day you make your first mortgage payment instead of paying your rent check. So I'm Niki Shelton. Feel free, like I said, reach out. Go ahead and drop some comments down if you want to get connected with Melanie. I am happy to do that. She's fabulous. I think you guys are going to love her. Melanie, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Deja vu. But you guys, seriously, thank you so much for watching, and reach out, put comments below. I read them all. If you got questions, something you want to see, always let me know. And we'll see you next time, next week. I'm Niki Shelton, keeping it real, and make sure you hit that like, follow, and subscribe button. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.